Your turn.
Welcome to the Mediocre Athletes Club.
Episode number 5.
What a day.
Why does it always start like... Yeah.
Because I make it start like that every time.
Every time.
Without a fail. So, we're just going to start quick. Well, maybe not that quick. Okay, challenge of the week.
Challenge of the week.
Yours last week.
Mine was to figure out what my 1 mile time is because I'm trying to get a 6-minute mile and I have no idea if my time is 10 minutes or whatever right now. So I finally figured out my 1 mile. And listen, it was on a treadmill, so I don't know if that's cheating or not, but it was
Probably not.
7:06.
Nice job.
So
Close.
I have a minute and 6 seconds to drop.
Nice. Did you just keep going up? Or were you
Yeah,
like,
I think that's the hard part about the treadmill is I had no idea.
you can't just go at a pace that feels good. You just are staring at the machine the whole time.
Stuck it, whatever, so you don't want to, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like I could have gotten better, but that's what it was because I procrastinated until this morning, so I didn't have time to retry. But, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy it wasn't 11 minutes.
It's good. I'm proud of you.
Thanks so much. How was yours?
I 100% failed. Mine was to stretch more. Didn't do it. So that's how stretching goes in my life. But that's okay. We'll get there eventually. So that's just the honest truth.
It's one of the hardest ones because it's really, really boring.
It's boring, and I also really didn't do a whole lot. I mean, I guess I climbed, and that's when I need the stretching is uphill. So, yeah, it was a fail, but that's okay.
Just
still a good
shot.
week.
Yeah.
Still a good week. Got some movement in. Overall, not bad.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my gosh. I forgot I had a 2-part challenge. My other one is to not say yeah.
Oh, well.
Everything you say, I failed already.
It's okay. Here we are. We'll make it work.
I'm gonna do better. Oh my God. Rolling.
We're
Keep
rolling.
going.
It's another tough Sunday.
Sundays are really hard for us.
We're going to try to not do it Sunday next week. Maybe. We'll see.
Especially when you spend Saturday freezing.
Yes.
All morning. Because the weather's... It's great.
It's been
down
in
low right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends. Some people are getting some decently cold weather, but it's just staying cold here. It's been... mornings have been single digits, and then it slightly warms up, but there's a tad of a breeze, which makes it very cold.
A tad of a breeze until you get up to about 2,000 feet.
Yeah.
And it's not a tad anymore. It's
the opposite of a tad.
It's the opposite of a tad. It's brutal. Brutal.
So we went up a mountain called Lazy Mountain here, and there's what year race was this? Sixth annual. The sixth year they've done this race.
Which is typically in March, the end of March.
Mm-hmm. And I'll have to ask you about that because March is typically, you don't know if you're going to get like super sloppy weather, like things are melting off and you're post-holing, or if it's going to be like really good packed conditions. And this year, it was a little bit different. Not as much snow, but the snow basically, we had a little layer that was basically turned to ice, and then another layer, and it was so cold that it just is like that sugary snow. So that's different.
The trail was it was the perfect soft packed snow though.
Yeah. It wasn't until you got to the wind.
Yeah.
And then it just got annoying because I felt like you were just like slipping, and there was not like slipping. It wasn't that bad, but
yeah,
just different.
My gosh, twice in a row.
You're gonna have to stop thinking about it.
You are correct. The snow just blew in the tracks instantly, so you're just walking up sugar.
Yeah.
towards the top. But yeah, it was basically a mountain race that typically happens in March. This year it was postponed and turned virtual, kind of. There's an 2-hour starting window. Yeah. It wasn't timed, but everyone got out there at the same day.
If you want to get your swag,
your shirt and your cup, just go do it and then hang out by the fire and drink beer afterwards, which was really fun. Beautiful day.
Disclaimer, I never do this race, so.
I've actually only gotten to do the race once.
Oh, okay.
It always falls over the same weekend where there's a hockey tournament in Palmer, so it's really hard to do both. So this was only my second time racing, and the weather was phenomenal. Bottom half when we went up, it was
Bluebird.
Single digits, but Bluebird.
Yeah,
so
and once you move in single digits, it's quite nice. Like, once you get moving, it's fine. And it's nice to get out in that weather, because you step outside and you're like, oh God, why are we doing this? And then you start moving, and you're like, yes, it's not so bad. I got out. And then you feel so good after, because you're like, I would have just sat on the couch because it's freezing out, but I actually did something. It feels really good.
It's a roller coaster, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The first half was nice and warm. And I dressed as I have been with waterproof shells and then kind of fleece line leggings, really warm ones. And then a base layer, top, and waterproof or windproof jacket. Buff hat, and the Gore-Tex shoes, which did great for me up in the wind. I didn't get it, I think, as bad.
My feet were actually fine. My feet were fine. I mean, they were cold, but it was cold out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like wet. They weren't wet or anything.
I think that's kind of the blessing of it being so cold, is your shoes don't really get that wet.
They don't get wet unless you're like sweating. And then it freezes. But yeah. Not too bad. Yeah, the sugary snow doesn't really go anywhere either.
Yeah.
It doesn't go into your shoe and then melt like some of the wetter snow does, so.
Because I really still haven't gotten to test the shoes out in the perfect storm scenario. Yeah. But, I mean, my feet would have been frozen if I was wearing what I typically wear, which is pretty much a see-through shoe in the wintertime. So I was pretty happy about that.
Right.
And then the downhill was all blown in trail. You couldn't tell if you were jumping into a 1-inch snow or 2 feet of snow. It was wild, and the wind was wild. And then once you got down lower, that was the worst part. Once we dropped out of the wind, and the trail was super fast. It was perfect soft pack. You could run as fast as you want. You're fine. But then I just started sweating like crazy. So now I have these waterproof pants and these super warm leggings, and I'm sweating like crazy. And eventually I felt like I couldn't move my legs that well because it was just
sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard in the winter. I mean, I think the best advice for winter clothing is just layer, do what works for you, and keep making changes, because there's never going to be the perfect scenario. It's never going to be super comfortable. Summer's easy, obviously, because you get hot, you shed a layer, and you're fine. But winter is a different game, and everything, people are comfortable in different things, and it's hard to, like, get it dialed in perfectly.
Well, you'll have it dialed for the first half of the mountain, but in the second half, throw something else at you.
Yeah.
And I'm the type who's does not like changing what I'm wearing if it's cold outside.
Yeah.
I won't stop if I have an extra layer in my pack. I won't stop and put that layer on because I'm already cold.
Yeah, I've gotten a little bit better at, like, knowing when I need to like before I get too cold to either put something on or. But it's hard too because the second you overheat, it's uncomfortable because you know that like wind is gonna come up or something and freeze you. So it's a hard balance for sure. But whatever, we make it work. I dress a little bit differently. Like, I just wore a puffy, and that way I can take that on and off, and then just had, like, a base fleece layer on the bottom and top. But my legs got a little bit cold.
It's tough to avoid in those scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
With the wind and wearing some kind of shell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's dogs in the house if you can't tell.
So sorry. They're a little neurotic and...
They want to play. Yeah, just crazy winter weather here. But so maybe we should talk about, since we're pretending it's not winter today and going outside, our favorite. Well, I'm curious what your favorite summer race has been in all of the land.
In all of the land?
All of the summers. What's been your
So my
not
favorite
your
race
best
ever?
Your favorite. Mm-hmm. Like,
that's super tough.
Okay. How about I already know the answer to this, I think. Your favorite race, if we're judging it off of, like, the environment. Like, how fun the environment is.
Okay. Well, yes. Number one, based off of environment. And it's... Mountain Marathon.
I knew you were going to say that.
Everybody knows. It is the Super Bowl atmosphere of mountain races in Alaska. Everyone is just lit up for a full day. It's the coolest. You could basically see the whole course from the town where it starts. So there's thousands of spectators. And you can watch the dust clouds coming down the mountain. And it's a super fast race, too, so you don't get bored watching. The guys take hardly any time at all to do it. I think it's
a 5K, right?
It's basically 3 miles. Yeah, 3 miles, 3,000 feet.
Starting in town.
Going up a mountain. Not truly to the summit. Going to the race turnaround, coming back down, and it's super rowdy. Most people are bloody at the bottom. It's such a fast climb, such a fast descent. So the atmosphere is awesome. You can't really beat that. It's definitely not the hardest race.
Is that like the race that got you like sucked in?
That's actually one of the races that I said I'd never do. Along with every other race that I've ever run.
But then once you did it, were you like, I'm addicted? Maybe not to that race, but just mountain running is all.
I don't know. I definitely... I can't remember really what races I had done before that, besides the Climathon. But I do remember I was, at that point, hooked into it. So it's a lottery process, and it's kind of hard to get into the race. I got in my second year applying, which was super lucky.
Females have an easier time getting in, right?
It's much easier. But there are still people who had applied for 10 years and never made it in. So I was super lucky getting in my second, and it was right after Travis and I got married, and we're walking around Walmart just buying things for the house. Opened up my phone, had an email that said I made it in a Mount Marathon, and I about lost it in the middle of the grocery store. I was so excited. And yeah, it's pretty easy to stay in it once you get in it, but they've changed that since and making it a little bit harder. We weren't able to run this year because 2020.
2020, man.
But I think second, and I don't know, I'm curious how you feel about this one too. Second to Mount Marathon. Cirque Series Alyeska is a really cool race as well, but I think the Rut was one of the coolest weekends. They do such a good job with that race.
Yeah, I mean, the Rut has always had, like, a special place in my heart just because I lived in Montana, and I feel like that was the first race I told Dan that I was like, that's the one, like, I didn't really care about any races, but that's the one race I wanted to do. And so many people around me did it or went and watched. And so, yeah, So that one has a like special place in my heart. But I don't know. I mean, it's a sweet race. There's lots of people. It's cool.
It's got a great atmosphere as well.
Yeah, and if you're curious about it, actually, Mike Foot, I don't know how you pronounce his last name. He's the race director or co-director. I'm not really sure if anybody else helps, but they just he was just interviewed on the Uphill Athlete that I listened to, and it was just interesting listening to him in the race.
Doesn't he have the record for max vert in a day?
I don't know. He has some crazy stats. He was talking about doing a race, like 600 miles across. I don't think it was a race. It was just like him and his buddy went out and did 600 miles across. I don't know if they started in Missoula and then went into Canada somewhere.
Crazy.
And yeah, so he's a super elite athlete, I think. Mm-hmm. I think he's considered elite. In my book, he is anyways.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure he has the record for max vert. It's similar to the Alyeska thing where you just lap the same uphill as many times as you can, and I can't remember the numbers. I'll try to remember that or get that info for next week, but it's crazy. It's just unreal what these guys can put out in a small amount of time in the same day.
Yeah, it is cool. But it's also, like, going to a race like that, like the rut, it's cool just to do it. Like, that was one of the races that I was like, I just want to do it, and I didn't care, like, how well I did, or I just never even thought I would do it, or, like, yeah, or even sign up. And then, yeah, so that was pretty cool.
That's another race that you have to be really intent on signing up for.
Yeah, now it gets
full in about 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to be sitting at your computer beginning of January, knowing that you're doing the race.
I think that 50K doesn't fill up quite as fast.
Shocking.
Seems like there's always spots open for that one, but maybe not. I guess
I think it filled up pretty fast
just drop
for
out.
2020.
Okay,
but again, it got canceled because of COVID.
Yeah, I'm curious. I would think a race like that almost just has to do a blank slate. Otherwise, they're not going to get any. I mean,
right.
Or maybe they'll just say it's the same roster. But you think people's schedule changes, and I don't know. That sentence didn't make sense.
It is interesting what some of the races did, because I was signed up for Broken Arrow in California. They are just pushing the whole roster over to 2021 because they didn't want to offer refunds. And so most of the races have already spent all the money and bought all the things, and they don't, they can't really afford to do refunds. So they'll just switch the roster over to the next year, and knowing that a lot of people won't be able to, and they'll still get more entrants.
Right.
So they'll still be able to make some money, but what a nightmare for those guys. And I know people are super upset about not getting their money back, but that's just the gamble you take with these races. They can get canceled for weather. You're not going to get a refund, and you know that, or any kind of disaster and pandemic.
I was surprised. I guess I didn't hear too many people complaining about it, but I'm
there
sure
are always the people.
They
have no idea what goes into putting a race on.
Yeah, I can just imagine, like, either one, trying to get refunds back to people, and two, like, whatever way you do it, it's going to be difficult. Yeah. So, it's not easy. There's a lot that goes on into those races, and it is cool going to, like, I haven't been to a Mount Marathon, but it is cool seeing big races, because so many volunteers. I think the volunteers are probably my favorite part, like, just random groups of, people out on the trails cheering people on who maybe don't even run, like they're just inspired by the environment. So that's super cool to me, just to see. My favorite was the rut in, like, the last
that
miles.
aid station.
I don't remember there being an aid station, but there was, like, a 4-wheeler and, like, 3 random people there, and they were, like, super jazzed about life. And
was that there was a banana guy? There was a banana guy somewhere. He was just dressed as a banana, and he was pumping everybody up.
Maybe. No. Wasn't he, like, hanging in a tree or something? That was towards the beginning.
There was an aid station where there were people dressed up as animals and they were in a tree.
Yes.
It was wild.
Yeah, it's just
it was
so
such
cool.
a cool weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were super jazzed and we did the 28K. So the next day was 50K. And because of the atmosphere, we were all out there just going crazy cheering for these 50K guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just kind of get sucked in. It's addicting. And
Yeah.
it's cool watching people torture themselves and pay to do it. For a t-shirt.
Yeah. What a blast. But they do a really good job. Like, they have... I wonder if they're going to do that. I know the guy who... They do free tattoos, and I know the guy who did free tattoos actually passed away, but they must have found another guy.
I think someone else did take his place, because they were offering them again.
Okay. So I know they do free tattoos, they have but it's so busy that, like, you have to probably be in, like, first place to...
I think you can get time slots too, but yeah. I mean, you go run this mountain race, and then you get the antler tattoo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Pretty fun. Cool environment. Mm-hmm. You know they do a ton of work to put races like that on, so...
I can't even imagine. 3-day weekend events.
Yeah, so they do a vertical challenge, the 28K, and then a 50K.
50K and 11K on the same day.
Oh,
so 4 races, 3 days. Those people are saints. And hopefully they go on vacation afterwards, because that's...
Yeah, probably into the mountains to run like 800 miles.
Yeah, that's their stress relief.
Yeah. Anyways, well...
Yeah, I didn't even ask you what your favorite one was. I don't
know. I probably don't have a...
Or favorite trip.
Race.
Or favorite mountain. At least of this summer.
They're just all good. I don't know. I mean, everybody knows at this point, if you've happened to listen, that I probably prefer climbing over the race environment. Which maybe someday will change, but not right now. So, yeah. Basically any climb that we did that was new this summer, just because I like the new, just new views and new terrain. So, yeah, I did a few cool ones. The long days are always fun, but the backpacking is, I love backpacking, and I love spending the night and eating camp food. I don't know what it is about that. So probably one of those trips that we did. But
did you get to do that many this year?
not a whole lot. Maybe like at least 3 times, but not a huge chunk of them were backpacking. But
what's your favorite area? Because you did quite a bit. Well, you do pretty much all Chugach.
Well, no, I feel like we spent a decent amount of, lately, towards Denali, both of us. I like going to places that actually aren't in the Chugach because it's different, it's not as well known.
And you're not on a super packed trail to access what you're trying to get to.
Yeah. So probably, there's probably like 1 or 2 areas that are more packed, but Ram Valley is super cool, although the access to that just got shut down. But that's probably like one of the cooler areas, just because you kind of go up this small trail and then it opens up. It's not super populated. And then there's just a big rock glacier that you go over, and you just are in this huge valley of pretty views, and mountains to climb. So, and it's cool to look around and be like, oh, I climbed that, when they look really scary. You climbed a lot
back there, yeah.
Yeah, a lot back in that area. So
I never made it back past the
rock
glacier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got to go back there one time with you because you graciously bring me on things that I'm actually able to do.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. I don't know. There's so many areas. Someday we'll share more pictures, but I feel like I can't pinpoint because they're all different views. The one that we did with Dan, towards like north of Sutton, was really cool.
Oh, yeah. That was
just
amazing.
the rock is way different than what we have here. More like
Grays and
gray
reds.
tones. Yeah. And just like a place that maybe people go hunting, but not often climbing. So those are always cool areas because they're just not touched.
Pretty untouched.
Yeah. So those areas are always really fun. It's always cool to do areas too that are hard to get to because the reward is like nobody. I mean, yes, people have been there, but not as many people. So that's always fun.
It's fun going out with you guys because we all know I train on the popular trails and actually like going where there are going to be other people just in case I die or something.
Happens.
Going out with you guys and from getting out of the truck, climbing the mountain and coming back, you run into nobody.
Yeah.
Not a single soul.
It's a little bit
wild.
spooky. I mean, it could be a little freaky, but
It's not
It's
something I'm used to, so it's really cool.
And then there's also the opposite too of like you'll start on a populated trail and get off, and you like Dan and I did a climb and we made a bet. We're like, how many people do you think we're gonna see on the main trail once we get back? Because we like started on this main trail and just
really popular trail.
super populated. But then we did like the most miserable bushwhacking. It was awful.
That's
like
why everyone
in
sees all the
raspberry
trail.
bushes and thorns and like steep, wet downhill. Terrible. Anyways, so we were like, how many people do you think we're going to see? And it was, I don't know if it was a Friday or Saturday, but got off and I think it was maybe 6 miles back and we saw like 100 people on the main trail, but we saw nobody
Beyond
where
that.
we were beyond that. So that's always cool too, because not many people go beyond the perfectly manicured trail.
The one that's on all trails and you can track yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Not to make fun of that, but
all of my trails are on all trails too.
yeah.
But
Anyways, so all right. Well, that's enough jabbing on about cool things, but
reminiscing about the good old days.
oh, when it's not snowy. A few more weeks, maybe I'll be appreciating winter.
We just have to adjust to the single digits in wind. We'll be fine. We'll stop complaining.
Someday, yep, we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, what's your...
Okay, because I feel as though I only half completed my challenge this year. Because I really... This year. It's been a long week.
Has felt like a year.
This week, yes, I wanted to run it outside. And now that I know, my challenge for myself this week is to run a sub-7 outside.
That's exciting. That'll be fun.
Working my way. What about you?
That'll be good. Mine is just to work out more in general because the last 2 weeks have just, they've been good. Just, yeah. Maybe getting the mileage up a little bit. We'll see.
It's been a tough 2 weeks.
Yeah. I'm also just trying not to burn myself out because I'm already doing more than I did last winter. So I'm just trying to, like, take it a little easier. And not kill myself and like pay attention to when I don't feel good or whatever. So
and soon that vitamin D is going to be kicking in, right?
I don't know.
Couple months, whatever.
I mean, I felt like good. I don't know. I love sleep. I could probably sleep like 10 hours every single day and be pretty content with that. It's a dangerous world.
Last night was amazing. Fall back, gain an hour to sleep.
Could
we not do that every single night?
Honestly.
That'd be great.
It'd be so good. Although I do have to say I went to the grocery store today at like 7:30 thinking nobody would be there. And apparently everybody was already on their 8:30 o'clock time because...
Oh, so frustrating.
I was like, where did you guys come from? Not ready for people today. But
should have told them to leave.
yeah, I tried. But they didn't care. People.
Jerks.
I know. Rude.
Rude.
Anyways, well,
So work out more.
you're doing your mile.
I gotta do my sub 7 mile outside like a real winner.
One of my goals for the whole winter is to spend more time outdoors. So
I've got a
Not
big
sure if it'll be this
challenge coming end of the month.
we
For a
can't
full
tell you.
month.
Just kidding. I don't even know what it is. Level up.
I just figured it out yesterday, and
Excited.
I'll bring it up when the time comes.
Okay. Well, good. I'm excited to hear what it is. Stay tuned for next week's. See how we do. See if I get out of a funk. Might stay here. You never know.
I'm not gonna stay there. I'm not gonna let you. And you have to make me run a sub 7 outside. Can you just drive behind me and yell at me?
I can do that much.
Perfect. We're gonna make it happen this week. This week, whole new week, whole new month.
Whole
We've
new
got this.
human. Before Thanksgiving. I don't know. I'm just excited for Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday.
It's a great holiday.
And
Dude.
okay, wait, we should talk about this next week. We're going to talk about this because my favorite thing about the holiday since I've moved up here is climbing on like Thanksgiving Day or Christmas. So stay tuned for those chats because such a good tradition to put movement into your day. Makes you feel so good and it's fun. Okay.
And you can eat whatever you want.
Yeah, it just feels good. Yeah, it's great. So, and then your nap is like, actually, it makes sense because you did something.
You went out, you worked.
Your turkey
Earned
nap. So stay tuned for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right.
Toodles for now, friends.
Thanks, friends.